It started with a crash of thunder on a humid summer evening, the kind of night where even the streetlights seemed to buzz with pent-up aggression. And there at the corner of Sandwood Avenue and Greenwell Street stood Officer Carla Henderson, a beat cop with 10 years on the force and a chip on her shoulder that never seemed to go away, glaring at the silent figure of a tall, broad-shouldered man in a worn-out jacket who stared back at her with an unsettling calm. "You there," Carla barked. "You can't just stand around acting suspicious. Show me some ID." And in that tense moment, the stranger, let's call him Alex Carter, handed over a battered military ID card that read Staff Sergeant, his voice barely above a whisper. "Here you go, officer. I'm just passing through." But Carla, already irritated by a long shift and all the trouble she had seen that day, sneered at the card and tossed it back. "Just a soldier. Oh, nothing special here," she muttered with a dismissive wave of her hand. And those 5 words would be the spark that set the entire city ablaze with questions, outrage, admiration, and fear. Because little did she know, Alex Carter was far more than just a soldier, and within the week, his hidden identity would shake every corner of Starwood City, leaving journalists breathless, the mayor in a panic, and Carla herself trapped between humiliation and awe. So let's dive into the heart of it. No introductions, no subtle build-up, just raw drama from the very first moment, because that's how Alex's story demanded to be told. It all began that night in the sticky darkness when Carla Henderson made the grave mistake of underestimating him. "Look, officer," Alex said gently, picking up his battered ID from the ground. "I've got no quarrel with you. I just came back from overseas and needed a place to lay my head." But Carla, who had just broken up a fight between 2 local gang members earlier and had bruises on her arms to prove it, wasn't in the mood for courtesy. "Do I look like your social worker, soldier?" she spat. "This is my beat, and I don't like it when people linger. So get moving before I run you in." And Alex gave a tight nod, turned on his heel, and vanished into the night, leaving Carla unaware that his footsteps would lead him to a cramped room on the outskirts of the city's old warehouse district, where his few possessions, a duffel bag of clothes, a carefully sealed envelope of medals, and a locked black case, provided the only insight into who he truly was. The next morning, the talk around the precinct was scattered but animated. "Did you hear about the new vagrant that Carla kicked off her corner?" asked Officer Lucinda Park as she sipped lukewarm coffee at her desk. "He wasn't just some vagrant," Carla snapped. "He was a soldier, or so he said, had the ID, but no real reason to be out there. Suspicious, if you ask me." And across the city, in a small diner with peeling wallpaper and the aroma of burnt coffee, Alex Carter sat quietly at a back table, swirling a mug of coffee as he listened to the hum of morning conversations, occasionally tipping his head to acknowledge the curious glances from the waitress. "You look like you're back from somewhere tough," she said sympathetically. "I've seen that stare before, you know, the one that says, 'You've been where most people wouldn't dare go.'" And Alex forced a smile. "You could say that," he replied. "I'll be all right, though. Just need to figure out my next steps." But what were those next steps? Only Alex truly knew, although for now, he seemed as lost in the city as any wanderer. Yet beneath that calm surface was a man who had once carried out missions of such secrecy and importance that even the highest ranks in the military only spoke his name in hushed tones. And as fate would have it, Starwood City was about to learn exactly who Alex Carter was, and it was Carla Henderson's careless dismissal that lit the fuse. 2 days later, Carla found herself responding to a disturbance call in the industrial district. "This is Officer Henderson. I'm on scene," she reported into her radio, stepping out of her cruiser to see a group of rowdy men in front of an abandoned factory. "Stay back," she shouted. "Starwood Police, place your hands where I can see them." But the men, obviously intoxicated and agitated, ignored her command, forcing Carla to call for backup within minutes. The situation escalated, glass bottles shattered, and the men rushed toward her, outnumbering her 6-1. Carla tried to keep them at bay with her baton, shouting warnings, but fear started to creep into her voice. "Stop, or I will use force." And that was when a shadow emerged from behind a stack of crates, moving swiftly. A low voice boomed. "You heard the officer. Stand down." And before Carla could process what was happening, the stranger swiftly disarmed one of the men, twisting his arm and dropping him to the ground with a single fluid move. Another lunged forward, but the stranger dodged, delivering a precise strike that knocked him out cold, and one by one the men fell, disarmed or incapacitated, as Carla stared in awe, her baton still raised, uncertain if she was more shocked by the threat before her or the silent warrior who had just taken them down with lethal grace. "What the—" Carla gasped, eyes darting between the unconscious men and the man who now stood calmly before her. "Officer Henderson, are you all right?" he asked, and Carla froze. That voice was familiar. "You," she muttered. "You're that soldier from the other night." Indeed, there stood Alex Carter, breathing heavily, but wearing a calm expression that told her he was used to far graver dangers than a few drunken thugs. "I didn't mean to intrude, officer," Alex said quietly. "I heard the commotion and thought I could help." Carla blinked rapidly, a flurry of emotions rising within her, from gratitude for being saved to embarrassment that she couldn't handle the situation alone, to a lingering skepticism about who Alex really was. "Who are you?" she demanded, voice shaking slightly. "Nobody just waltzes in and takes down 6 guys like that, not unless," Alex sighed. "I told you. I'm just a soldier," he said, but the look in his eyes suggested there was much more to it. "Better call in for medical assistance." "Officer, these men need treatment, and you might need to file a report." Carla nodded, reaching for her radio. "Dispatch. This is Henderson. We have multiple suspects in custody, requesting backup and paramedics." Her voice sounded steadier than she felt, and a civilian provided assistance in self-defense. The next day, Officer Lucinda Park cornered Carla by the coffee machine. "So I heard you got saved by that same soldier you chased off," she teased, but there was genuine curiosity in her voice. "What's his deal?" Carla rolled her eyes. "I don't know, Lucy, but he's no ordinary grunt, that's for sure. He fought like he'd been trained by ninjas or something." She paused, lowering her voice. "And you know what's weird? After it was over, he vanished before I could even get a statement." Lucinda shrugged. "Maybe you scared him off," she said, half smiling. "Or maybe he's got something to hide." Carla mumbled, her thoughts already buzzing. She typed up her incident report, describing how Alex had intervened, but her curiosity nagged at her. So she discreetly ran the name Alex Carter through the system, only to find that there was no record of such a person in the city's databases. "That's impossible," Carla thought. "He must be using an alias." And that single realization set her on a path of relentless pursuit for the truth. Across town, in a dimly lit motel room, Alex Carter was on the phone, speaking quietly. "I'm telling you, sir, I just wanted to pass through. Lay low," he said, voice thick with frustration. "But the local PD is starting to notice. It's only a matter of time before they dig deeper." An authoritative voice crackled on the other end. "We can't afford that." "Carter, your mission is too important," the voice insisted. "If you need to, relocate, but do not draw attention." Alex wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. "Understood," he replied, ending the call. Then he looked at his phone's screen. A photo of him and a small group of fellow soldiers, all wearing the same discreet insignia, a proud but haunted look in their eyes. "I'll handle it," he whispered to nobody in particular. But the city was about to handle him in ways neither he nor that authoritative voice could predict. The first real domino fell when Carla, driven by her mounting suspicion, decided to track Alex down. "Lucy, can you cover for me for half an hour?" she asked, grabbing her coat. "I just need to check out something off duty." Lucinda rolled her eyes but nodded, and Carla headed to the diner near the industrial district. The waitress remembered Alex. He was quiet, polite, paid with cash, she said, rummaging through her memory. He sometimes mentioned staying at a motel on the eastern side. Carla thanked her, heading there next, and after some sweet talk and a hint of intimidation, she got the motel manager to confirm that a tall man matching Alex's description had stayed there, but checked out hastily that morning. Left real early. The manager said, seemed in a hurry. Paid in cash. Told me no forwarding address. Carla frowned. He's gone, she thought. But why? Something clicked in her mind. He must have known she would come looking. I guess I'll dig deeper, she murmured. And deeper she went, eventually discovering a single clue that would ignite a firestorm of curiosity, an old article buried in the archives of a local military magazine referencing a Carter Taude, who had participated in a classified operation overseas. Reading about it, her mouth went dry. It spoke of extraordinary valor, of covert actions that saved countless lives. But the details were heavily redacted. Who in the world are you, Carter? She whispered to herself, as she sat in front of the flickering library computer screen. The next day, as Carla juggled routine calls, petty thefts, neighbor disputes, minor traffic violations, her mind never left the puzzle of Alex Carter. It became almost an obsession. So much so that fellow officers noticed. You need a break. Henderson, her supervisor, Sergeant Willis, advised. You look like a wreck. But Carla shook her head. No, Sarge, I'm fine. Just have something on my mind. And that night, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, Carla found herself drawn to the same industrial district where she'd last seen Alex. Maybe she thought he'd come back, or maybe she just needed the quiet to think, but as she patrolled the empty streets, a figure emerged from the shadows. You're persistent, officer. Alex's voice startled her, hand instinctively going to her holster. Relax, he said, stepping into the faint glow of a distant streetlight, hands raised. I'm not armed. I just wanted to talk. Carla's heart pounded, a swirl of emotions flooding her system, anger at him for disappearing, relief that she'd found him, fear of what he might be, and a strange admiration for his skill and calm demeanor. So talk, she managed, keeping her stance defensive. I know you've been digging, he began, eyes flickering. It's not safe. Carla folded her arms. For me or for you? She asked. Both. Alex answered simply. My past isn't something you can just read about in a library archive. There are people who would prefer it stayed buried. Carla exhaled sharply. Look, you saved my life. I'm grateful for that. But I have a duty to know who's roaming my streets, especially when they can put down 6 men like it's nothing. Alex nodded. I get that. But the more you poke around, the more danger you invite. Not just for yourself, but for the city. Carla scoffed. What kind of danger? She challenged. You're just one man. Alex's jaw tightened. Sometimes that's all it takes, he said cryptically. Officer, do me a favor, stop looking for me, please. And with that, he walked away, disappearing again into the labyrinth of alleys, leaving Carla with more questions than answers. That very night, a strange rumor started circulating among the local criminal elements. Someone had recognized the mysterious stranger who beat down those 6 men, and that someone whispered to an underworld figure that the man was rumored to be a special operative of the highest caliber, possibly linked to black ops missions that made ordinary war stories look like fairy tales. Soon, the rumor reached the ears of small-time thugs who told bigger fish, who then told the kingpins. We've got a ghost in the city, they said. A living legend. If we can find him, maybe we can use him. And so a hunt began. Quietly at first, but it would grow into a citywide storm, unbeknownst to Carla. Alex spent the next few days evading the eyes that watched him, changing motels, moving through the city's underbelly, trying to stay one step ahead of those who might exploit his skills or punish him for what he'd done in the past. I'm sorry, sir. He spoke into his phone again, voice hushed. I tried to slip through quietly, but the local officer is persistent. And word is spreading. The authoritative voice on the other end grew tense. This is unacceptable. Carter, you were supposed to stay off the radar. Alex frowned. I handled it the best I could, but the city has its own ways. The voice paused, then relented. We may have no choice but to extract you. Alex set his jaw. I can handle it. Just give me a bit more time. The tension in the line was palpable. Fine, but no more slip-ups. We can't risk your identity becoming public. But that was precisely what was about to happen, because Carla, unstoppable in her quest, had finally tracked down an old contact in the military, a retired master sergeant named Dwayne Miller, who owed her a favor. Carter. Alex Carter. Miller repeated when Carla mentioned the name over a phone call. I've heard stories, but everything's hush-hush. Top clearance stuff. Carla's pulse quickened. What kind of stories? She pressed. Rumor has it he was part of an elite group handling operations so dangerous they never see the light of day. Miller said quietly, he's no ordinary soldier. Henderson, that man is a hero by any standard, but also a ghost. Nobody officially knows him. But if you do, count yourself either very lucky or very cursed. Carla closed her eyes, her earlier cynicism melting away, replaced with a profound sense of respect and a gnawing dread. Thanks, Miller, she said, voice trembling slightly as she hung up that evening. As Carla sat in her patrol car, her mind raced with the knowledge that just a soldier was an understatement of epic proportions. He's a legend, she whispered to herself, remembering how easily he took down those violent men. And I treated him like a nuisance. Guilt prickled at the back of her thoughts, overshadowed by an even greater worry. If word got out, the city would become a battleground for those seeking to control or destroy Alex Carter. The next day, Carla's fears materialized when she was called to respond to a break-in at a run-down motel. She arrived to find the door kicked in, furniture overturned, and the manager frantic. There was this tall guy renting a room, left in a hurry. Some men came looking for him, tore up the place. Carla's stomach sank. Did they catch him? She asked urgently. The manager shook his head. I don't think so, but they sure did a number here, demanded I tell them where he went. Carla carefully stepped over broken glass, scanning the room for clues. She found a scrap of paper with an address scribbled on it and stuffed it into her pocket. Hang in there, she told the manager. I'll file a report. As she turned to leave, she knew she was crossing a line. This was personal now, not just police business. What am I doing? She muttered, but she couldn't stop herself. She went off duty early and headed to the address on the slip of paper, which turned out to be an abandoned storefront near the city's dockside. Creeping inside, she found Alex crouched in a corner, rifling through a duffel bag as if preparing to move again. You're not easy to find, Carla said softly, startling him. He stood, alarmed. Officer Henderson, how did you? She held up the slip of paper. Found this at the motel. Men tore the place apart looking for you. He nodded grimly. Then they're getting bolder. I can't stay. Carla took a step closer. I know who you are, sort of. Anyway, I talked to someone. Alex's gaze hardened. Then you know why this is dangerous. She swallowed. Yes, I do, but you can't keep running. They'll find you eventually. Maybe you should come in. Let us help you. Alex shook his head. Help me? How? Your department doesn't have the clearance to protect me from the kind of people that are after me. Carla bristled. That's a bit insulting. We have resources. But even as she said it, she knew he was right. Alex softened his tone. Look, I appreciate it, but this is bigger than the local police. Just then, they heard footsteps outside, and Alex motioned for Carla to stay quiet. Peering through the grimy window, she saw 4 figures prowling around the building, armed with handguns. Carla instinctively reached for her sidearm. We're surrounded, she hissed. Alex exhaled slowly. Stay behind me, he whispered, and once again, Carla was forced to watch in awe as Alex Carter systematically disarmed and subdued the intruders. It happened with a terrifying elegance, a sudden burst of movement, a disorienting feint, The click of a wrist snapping, a muffled groan. Within minutes, the four men were either unconscious or groaning on the ground. Carla's adrenaline spiked. "Holy," she began, but Alex grabbed her by the arm. "We need to go now." They sprinted out the back door, vanishing into the alleyway before any curious bystander could raise the alarm. After they caught their breath several blocks away, Carla spoke in a hushed but urgent tone. "We have to report this. I can't just—" Alex shook his head. "I'd rather you didn't. The more noise we make, the more they'll come." Carla stared at him, torn between duty and the undeniable truth that the usual protocol might make things worse. "They were armed men," she argued. "This is serious." Alex nodded. "I know, but do you trust your department? Do you trust that no one in there is on the take?" Carla's eyes widened. "What are you implying?" He closed his eyes. "Those men, they're not just random criminals. They're likely connected to bigger organizations, possibly with corrupt ties. If you file a formal report, it might lead them straight to me or possibly compromise your position." Carla felt a chill run down her spine. She hated to admit it, but she'd seen enough corruption in the city to know he might be right. "So what then?" she muttered, voice filled with frustration. "You just keep hiding, fighting off every wave that comes after you until you eventually slip away." Alex looked at her, a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "If I must," he whispered, "it's not like I have a choice." That honesty struck Carla, and she realized this was a man not running from justice, but from forces that justice itself might not be equipped to handle. Still, she was an officer of the law, sworn to protect the city, and something told her that Alex Carter was crucial to saving more than just himself. So she made a choice that would forever change her life. "All right," she said, "I'm in. I'll help you, but you have to level with me. No more of this cloak and dagger secret stuff." Alex studied her face, searching for sincerity. "Fine," he breathed. "I'll tell you what I can." And so the two found refuge in a dilapidated building that night, away from prying eyes, where Alex finally revealed the barest outlines of his true identity. "I was part of a Black Ops unit," he began. "We were sent into the most volatile areas, missions that were deniable, dangerous, and necessary to prevent greater catastrophes. Each of us had a unique skill set. Mine involved infiltration and close-quarters combat." He paused, the weight of his memories evident in his gaze. "We did things nobody was supposed to see. Made enemies of powerful people, terrorists, warlords, even corrupt officials." Carla listened intently, her heart pounding. "And now those enemies are after you," she surmised. Alex nodded. "They want to erase loose ends. Or worse, force me to work for them. The only reason I came here was to slip under the radar. But somehow word got out." Carla frowned. "I might have contributed to that by snooping around." Alex's eyes flickered with regret. "It's not your fault entirely, officer. I've been living on borrowed time." Carla inhaled deeply, absorbing the gravity of it all. "I can't just let them hunt you down or let you wage this one-man war in my city," she declared. "We need a plan." Alex tilted his head, a wry smile forming. "You're braver than I expected," Carla snorted. "Don't flatter me. I just have a duty to protect lives, even if it's a mysterious soldier's life." Meanwhile, across the city, the four men who Alex had taken down were questioned by their superiors, leading to a chain of phone calls that eventually reached the highest echelons of the criminal network lurking behind Starwood City. "So the rumors are true. This Carter is the real deal," one crime boss mused, swirling a glass of expensive whiskey. "We need to bring in heavier support, maybe make a statement." From that moment, things escalated swiftly. The rumor that the city harbored a Black Ops soldier turned vigilante caused an uproar. People claimed to have seen him intervening in neighborhood disputes. Local criminals suddenly vanished or turned up battered. The entire city began buzzing about a shadowy hero or a dangerous outlaw, depending on whom you asked. The media caught wind, though they only had scattered reports. Mystery man cleans up streets. Could he be a renegade soldier? Read one sensational headline. The mayor's office was inundated with calls from frightened citizens and curious journalists. We need to get ahead of this. The mayor fumed, summoning the police commissioner. I don't care what it takes. Find out who this man is and bring him in for questioning. And so the official gears started turning. An all-points bulletin went out with a vague description, urging officers to approach with caution. Carla watched from the sidelines, torn. She knew that if the department found Alex, he'd be arrested. Or worse, compromised by the criminals infiltrating the system. So she fed just enough misinformation to keep them off his trail while secretly aiding him. They began uneasy partnership. Her knowledge of the city's legal framework and his lethal skill set forming a precarious alliance. I still don't think this will end well, Alex cautioned one night as they huddled in an abandoned apartment. Maybe not, Carla admitted, but we have to try. She was determined to prove that the city's good, its honest cops, its striving neighborhoods could still protect a man who once risked his life to protect others. Tension mounted daily, culminating when an international mercenary arrived in Starwood, rumored to be ex-special forces himself, hired by a powerful cartel that wanted Carter's head. Word on the street was that this mercenary, known only as Ivar, had never failed an assignment. He'll find Carter, whispered a terrified informant to Carla. He always does. And find him he did, cornering Alex in a deserted construction site. One stormy evening, while Carla raced across the city to help, lightning illuminated the skeletal beams, and the thunder roared as the two men faced off. So, you're the infamous Carter, Ivar growled, brandishing a wicked-looking knife. I've heard you're the best. Shame I have to kill you. Alex's eyes narrowed. Likewise, he said, readying himself. The fight that followed was brutal, primal, the clash of two highly trained warriors in a cage of concrete and steel. Each blow echoed with thunder. Sparks flew as blades scraped metal surfaces, and the rain slicked every beam, turning the ground beneath their feet into a slippery death trap. You can't run from your past, Ivar snarled, lunging with lethal precision. Alex countered, twisting away at the last second, delivering a strike that sent Ivar crashing against a metal girder. I'm not running, Alex shouted over the storm. I'm just not letting it define me. They fought on, exchanging devastating punches, elbows, grapples, each man pushing the other to the brink, until at last, as Carla burst onto the scene, gun drawn, she saw Alex deliver a final staggering blow that sent Ivar toppling into a half-dug pit, where he lay unconscious. Battered by the relentless downpour, Carla rushed to Alex, who was bleeding from a deep gash on his arm. Come on, we have to get you out of here, she urged, pulling him away as sirens in the distance signaled the arrival of reinforcements. But who they were reinforcements for was uncertain, police or criminals, so they fled, leaving Ivar to be discovered by whoever got there first. In the aftermath, the city exploded with rumors. The mercenary was defeated. Carter is unstoppable, some said, while others insisted it's only a matter of time before they send an army after him. Ironically, that was closer to the truth than anyone guessed, because somewhere in a hidden stronghold, the decision was made. Carter had to be neutralized or controlled at any cost. Send the team, came the directive. No more half measures. Thus, a group of specialized international operators, mercenaries with access to advanced weaponry, were deployed to Starwood City. Within days, Sightings of these heavily armed men in black SUVs trickled into the local PD, fueling panic. The mayor's office flailed, the public demanded answers, and Carla found herself at the eye of the storm, balancing her sworn duty with the moral imperative to protect Alex. It's out of control, Lucinda Park whispered to Carla in a deserted hallway of the precinct. The higher-ups want Carter's head, just to calm the public. They're calling him a vigilante menace. Half the city thinks he's a hero, and the other half thinks he's a ticking time bomb. Carla's eyes were tired. She hadn't slept properly in days. He only fought criminals and saved my life. Lucy, she argued, he's not a menace. Lucinda shrugged helplessly. Tell that to the politicians. They just see a problem. They want it gone. Carla clenched her fists. Then we need to fix this before they do something reckless, she said. A plan took shape in her mind. If she could somehow prove that Alex Carter was on the side of justice, maybe arrange a controlled encounter where he could reveal the truth without getting shot on sight. Perhaps the city would realize they had a genuine hero in their midst. But while Carla tried to orchestrate that, the black-clad mercenaries prepared a trap of their own. Word reached Alex through one of his few remaining covert contacts. They knew about a certain safe house he sometimes used. They planned to corner him there. It's a setup, the contact warned. They're using the local authorities to block off exits. You won't make it out if you go. Alex, however, had no choice. That safe house held critical documents that, in the wrong hands, could compromise not only him, but also the entire unit he once served with. I have to go, he told Carla over a burner phone. I can't let them get those files. Carla's stomach churned. Then let me help, she insisted. We can get you in and out before they even realize it. But the question was how, and that's when they hatched the idea for a diversion. Carla would tip off the precinct about a major criminal operation on the other side of town, forcing the police to deploy in large numbers there, freeing up the safe house area from official scrutiny. They'll take the bait, trust me, Carla said. The brass are hungry for a big bust to show the public they're in control. And so, on a chilly evening under a cloudy sky, Carla fed the false lead to her superiors. We've got intelligence that a major gang is stockpiling weapons at an abandoned church in Oak Hill. She lied convincingly, and the wheels of official authority turned, sending squad cars, SWAT teams, and news cameras racing to Oak Hill. Meanwhile, in the neglected mid-city district, Alex slipped through deserted alleys, reached the safe house, and retrieved the locked black case containing the sensitive documents. All right, I've got them, he said into his earpiece, hooking back up with Carla, who was waiting in a discreet location in her personal car. Get in, she hissed, scanning the area. Hurry. But as Alex ducked into the passenger seat, a volley of bullets tore through the rear window. God go, dog go, he shouted. Carla floored the accelerator, tires screeching. They're here already, she gasped, glimpsing the dark SUVs roaring up behind them. They must have had a backup plan. Alex braced himself. We need to lose them. The chase that followed was like a scene from a high-octane action movie, weaving through side streets, nearly colliding with abandoned cars, sparks flying as bullets ricocheted off the car's frame. Carla's heart hammered. We're pinned down, she yelled. Where can we go? Alex scanned the road, noticing the entrance to an underground parking garage. There, turn right, he barked. Carla swerved, nearly tipping the car. They sped down the ramp into the cramped, echoing structure, their pursuers hot on their tail. This is insane. Carla breathed, adrenaline surging. She spotted a ramp leading up to the next level. We can circle around and exit on the other side. But as they climbed levels, they realized the SUVs had split up, blocking potential exits. We're trapped, Carla muttered suddenly. Alex noticed a maintenance door. Stop here, he ordered. Grab the case. Carla screeched to a halt, and they dashed out of the car. running to the maintenance door, which by sheer luck was unlocked. They slipped through, finding themselves in a narrow corridor that led to a stairwell. Behind them, footsteps echoed. "They're coming," Carla whispered, voice trembling. "Keep moving," Alex insisted, pushing the door to the stairwell open. They climbed flight after flight, hearts pounding, as armed mercenaries followed in pursuit. "You can't escape, Carter," a voice bellowed, the echo swallowing the words. "We have every exit sealed." But Alex and Carla pressed on, emerging onto the rooftop in the frigid night air. The city stretched out before them, neon lights shimmering in the distance. "Now what?" Carla rasped. Out of breath, Alex scanned the rooftop, noticing a flimsy plank bridging to an adjacent building. "That's our best shot," he said. "Let's go." Carla's eyes widened. "That's a 5-story drop if we fall." But the mercenaries were already crashing onto the rooftop behind them. "Stop right there," barked one, raising an automatic rifle. "Or I'll shoot." Carla and Alex exchanged a look, then sprinted for the plank, crossing with careful, urgent steps. Bullets whipped past them, one grazing Carla's shoulder. She cried out but kept moving. Once across, Alex kicked the plank away, and it clattered down to the alley below, cutting off their pursuers for the moment. But the blood staining Carla's sleeve meant they had to move fast. "Stay with me," Alex urged. Supporting her, were almost out behind them. The mercenaries cursed, searching for another way across. Eventually, Carla and Alex climbed down a rusty fire escape on the far side, stumbling into the shadows of a deserted street. Sirens blared in the distance. Somebody must have called the cops upon hearing gunfire. "Let's lay low," Alex whispered, guiding Carla to a concealed doorway. "We'll patch that wound." Carla's eyes fluttered as the pain washed over her. "I'm fine," she lied through gritted teeth. "Just do what you have to do." With quick thinking, Alex tore part of his sleeve to stanch the bleeding. "Hang in there," he murmured, recalling his battlefield medical training. "The bullet just grazed you. You'll be all right." Tears stung Carla's eyes, a mix of pain, fear, and an odd sense of pride that she was facing this madness alongside a man who embodied courage in every fiber of his being. "I hate to say it, but we can't keep going like this," she whispered. "We need a final move." Alex nodded. "We do," he agreed. "Something that ends this chase once and for all." That final move came in the form of a risky gambit. Alex decided to publicly expose not just his identity, but also the corruption that had fueled this entire pursuit. "There are records in this case that prove the involvement of certain high-level individuals in war crimes and illicit deals," he told Carla. "If we release it, it might bring them all down. But it'll also put a target on our backs." Carla steadied herself, ignoring the throb in her shoulder. "Let's do it," she said resolutely. "I'll call a contact at a major news outlet, someone I trust." The following day, in a secret meeting at a small television station's basement, Carla and Alex handed over the documents to a journalist known for integrity and fearlessness. "Are you sure about this?" the journalist asked, eyes wide as she skimmed the explosive contents. "These are big names, political figures, criminal masterminds, even some in the military hierarchy." Alex's face was grim. "Publish it all. It's the only way to stop them from hunting me in the shadows." Carla nodded. "This is bigger than one city, bigger than me. Do it." Hours later, an emergency broadcast interrupted regular programming across local channels. Breaking news. Explosive documents reveal a secret network of corruption and illegal arms deals tied to top officials. The anchor's voice shook as she delivered the revelations. Sources indicate that these documents were provided by an anonymous whistleblower with ties to covert military operations. Simultaneously, the journalist posted the files online, making them accessible worldwide in a matter of clicks. The response was immediate and thunderous. Public outrage soared. The mayor's office was besieged by demands for explanations. Federal agencies swooped in to investigate. Arrest warrants were issued for prominent officials, and the entire city teetered on the brink of chaos. But the criminals and mercenaries who had hunted Alex found themselves exposed. Their finances frozen, their safe havens compromised. Damn him, one of the crime bosses hissed, as law enforcement stormed his estate. He turned the light on us. For Carla and Alex, the fallout was both liberating and terrifying. We did it, Carla breathed, watching the news coverage from the dingy safe apartment where they hid. But what happens now? Alex sighed. Relief and exhaustion etched into his features. Now, I've got one last call to make. He pulled out his phone, dialed a secure line, and waited. Sir, it's done, he said when the authoritative voice answered. They're all exposed, including the corrupt elements that facilitated the hit squads. There was a long pause, then a measured response. We've seen it. Carter, you've set off a chain reaction far beyond Starwood City. The higher-ups are deciding your fate now. Alex clenched his jaw. I only did what I had to, he replied. Understood, said the voice. Stay put. We'll be in contact. Carla eyed him. You trust them? He shook his head. Not entirely. But I trust they don't want me dead anymore. Now that I've done their dirty work, days turned into a whirlwind of headlines, arrests, political resignations, and investigations. The city reeled, but the sense of long overdue justice also permeated the air. Officer Carla Henderson, the police commissioner, demanded, summoning her. Explain me what role you played in all this. She stood tall. I did my duty. Commissioner, I protected someone who was exposing massive corruption. The city is safer now. The commissioner glowered. You broke protocol. You lied to your superiors. Carla met his gaze without flinching. Yes, sir, because the system was compromised. If I hadn't, we'd still be dancing to the tune of criminals. After a tense pause, the commissioner spoke. There's an internal review pending, but given the scale of these revelations, the mayor wants to give you a commendation for bravery. Ironically, you might be the city's new hero cop. Carla couldn't help but let a wry laugh escape. A commendation, she repeated, half in disbelief. I'll await the review. With the conspiracies unraveled and the mercenaries either arrested or fleeing, Alex Carter's presence in Starwood City was no longer a rumor, but an acknowledged reality. People spoke of him in hushed awe. The soldier who had toppled corrupt power structures with the help of a determined beat cop, he's still out there, some said, watching over us. Others insisted he'd leave, return to his secret missions. The official statements remained vague, citing national security. But the city had changed. The gangs were disoriented. The criminals lost their backdoor alliances, and ordinary citizens felt a renewed sense of hope that maybe, just maybe, justice could prevail. One evening, on a quiet bridge overlooking the city skyline, Carla found Alex waiting. I should have figured you'd pick this spot to say goodbye, she said, approaching him. Is this it? He smiled faintly, gazing at the flickering lights below. For now, I can't stay. The city's no longer the safe haven I thought it would be, but it doesn't need me anymore either. You have it covered. Carla stepped beside him, her voice thick with emotion. So you're going back to that life? Alex shook his head. I'm going to find a new one. Maybe eventually I'll settle down somewhere far from the spotlight. She nodded, tears welling up. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for how I treated you at first, calling you just a soldier. I had no idea who you really were. Alex placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. It's all right, Officer Henderson. That night changed both of us. Sometimes we can't see what's in front of us until we're forced to. Carla blinked away tears. I guess so, she whispered. Wherever you go, I hope you find peace. Alex turned to her solemn, yet resolute. Thank you, Carla. I won't forget what you did for me. If you ever need me, somehow I'll know. And with that, he handed her a small dog tag. Worn but precious. Keep this, to remember that even in the darkest places, there are those who stand guard. Carla clasped the dog tag. Take care of yourself, she said, her voice cracking slightly. Alex offered a final nod, turned, and walked away, his silhouette gradually fading into the night. leaving behind a humbled beat cop and a city forever changed by the revelation that he was far more than just a soldier. In the days that followed, Carla resumed her patrols, her perspective altered. The city felt different, more awake, yet still fragile. She carried the dog tag in her pocket, a silent reminder that real heroes often walk in shadows. That day she pulled over a speeding driver, carefully explaining the violation, but with a new sense of empathy in her voice. Try to slow down. We've all got places to go, but we can't forget to be safe, she said, handing over the ticket with a small smile. The driver apologized and drove off more carefully, and that was Carla's small contribution to maintaining the balance. As rumors of Alex Carter's exploits spread beyond Starwood, newspapers branded him a legendary Army hero who toppled corruption with the help of a brave cop. The official line was that he disappeared. No further details. Yet sightings popped up occasionally. Some said they saw him in a remote town. Others claimed he was overseas again, still fighting the good fight. No one knew for certain. But for Carla, he'd never be just a soldier. He was the soldier who shook an entire city, revealing its rotten core and lighting a path to hope. And she'd carry that story, raw, unvarnished, and painfully real, for the rest of her life, telling anyone who would listen that heroes can come in unexpected forms, at unexpected times. And sometimes all it takes is one battered ID card and a single dismissive phrase to trigger a city's awakening.